Hello, on Skate we're playing Sherlock Holmes The Awakened. It's the first playthrough including DLC and kickstarter bonuses. Let's get started. Chapter 1: The Shadow over London.
Dr. Watson, would you kindly close the door behind you so that we can limit the price of your carelessness to merely hours of work rather than days?
My apologies, Mr. Holmes. I found myself rather taken aback. I saw tidier houses in war-torn Afghanistan. Are those my surgical needles?
I ran out of tacks and the matter required immediate attention.
Was that my supper?
Plainly not, for I was the one who ate it.
I set it aside for this evening.
And for that I am grateful.
Is that my bed?
Watson, since you've proven yourself a master of observation, might I ask you to apply your skills to a more pertinent question? Namely, the whereabouts of today's newspapers. They are the key to everything. The newsboy is usually reliable.
Medically speaking, I often find that the key to everything is good sleep. In a bed. Your papers are here, on the table.
Let us see what the postman brought today.
So these are all the outfits you unlock at the start of the game, including any DLC content and pre-order bonuses, which I will make a separate video about. And as you play the game you get points, and for the points you unlock bonus stuff. Mainly outfits, if I remember correctly.
This mess is getting out of hand. What will the landlady think? Most of us put our thoughts to paper, not to walls, Mr. Holmes. Your mail is on the table, Holmes.
I'm close, I know it. I just need one more piece to crack the case.
London Advertiser, September 28, 1882. Tensions between London and Sweden are running high after a series of unfortunate mishaps during a recent visit to London by Swedish Princess Tudor. Chief among the scandals was the embarrassment of the British diplomatic corps as a result of the unexplained disappearance of Princess Ilda's personal bodyguard. The long-time member of the inner circle took the opportunity to explore London while off duty and never returned from his late-night promenade. A spokesman for the police assures the advertiser that they are confident the bodyguard will be located, as he is a striking representative of the Scandinavian people. A man like that gets noticed, whether by his peers at the gentleman's club or the fair nightingales who comfort them.
Local gossip, all of it uninteresting. Your order from Barnes' bookshop has arrived, Doctor.
Barnes insists on delivering the books to our door, even though we could easily walk to his shop. That's good service.
Another letter from Werner. I never reply, but they keep coming. I don't see the strand. Where is it?
Pardon me?
I am on the precipice of uncovering a pattern of crime across London spanning many months and involving many men. The missing paper cannot be a coincidence.
That's preposterous.
My dear fellow, life is infinitely stranger than anything which the mind of man can invent.
Well, life used your newspaper to wipe its posterior, so after that unpleasant discovery this morning, I disposed of it. But in lieu of the strand, perhaps I can deliver you something equally tantalizing. I have just returned from a patient of mine, Captain Stemwick, who...
No, that will not do. Grab your coat, Dr. Watson. Let us hope nobody has collected the dustbin.
The dustbin is yours for the digging, Mr. Holmes. Don't look at me. If you want the newspaper, you'll have to get your hands dirty. If you come across one of my drafts, please leave it in the bin. If I'm honest, part of me will enjoy watching you rifle through rubbish. Seems only fair after what you did to our flat. If I'm honest, part of me will enjoy watching you rifle through rubbish. Seems only fair after what you did to our flat. If I'm honest, part of me will enjoy watching you rifle through rubbish. Seems only fair after what you did to our flat.
A cactus spine. If it gets in your skin, it's awfully tricky to remove, and when laced with poison, the perfect assassination tool. You were mistaken, Dr. Watson. The paper was indeed dirtied, but not how you implied. It's potting soil. See, Watson? The conspiracy is real. Someone tried to poison me.
Poison? You? That's madness. Do you even have enemies that would want to kill you?
Get the
Okay,
strand.
perhaps
Get your
from
copy of the
Portone.
strand here.
How about that Vogel fellow? He seems rather obsessed with you. Would he do something
Get the
like
strand.
this?
Get your copy of the strand here.
Why go through all this scheming to murder you? A spine stuck to the newspaper is hardly lethal.
Get the strand. Get your copy of the strand here. Get the strand. Sorry, Mr. Holmes. I just sold my last paper.
Blast. Then why are you still here?
Boss pays by the hour. No sense in returning early.
You're a bright child. I presume you see everything that goes on around here?
Nothing gets past me, mister.
Then tell me, did you notice anyone suspicious at my door this morning?
Like the man with your newspaper?
Precisely. What do you know?
I know the value of a shilling.
Dr. Watson,
Sure, now I can take the day off.
can you describe the man you saw?
He was carrying a lot of books. Up to his chin they were.
Never heard of a well-read assassin.
Looks can deceive, hence the appeal of disguises. Did you see what he was up to?
Nah, not really. I saw him approaching your house, but I had a customer. Then there was a loud bang. I ducked down. Not because I was scared, because I wasn't. I had to protect the merchandise, and all I could see was him kneeling at your door.
Which way did he go?
Not sure. I was distracted by customers. Sorry.
All right. You earned your shilling. That'll be all.
Thanks, Mr. Holmes. Maybe I could be your eyes and ears, if you have more shillings.
Mr. Barnes is involved in the scheme. The newsboy says the suspicious man was carrying a stack of books, and this morning, Mr. Barnes, the local bookseller, delivered a novel for Dr. Watson. A cactus spine for assassination, a loud bang. A visit to Mr. Barnes is in order. So you had to connect newsboy with book from Barnes.
Come now, Mr. Holmes. Murder? Yes, Barnes has his quirks, but he also
Get the
has his
strand.
scruples.
Get your copy of the
Not
strand
every
here.
pawn knows it's part of a game.
I'll stand watch, just in case the strange man comes back.
Can I ask you a question?
No, I don't know anything about that.
What does it say? What does it say? What does it say?
A ruined newspaper is hardly the end of the world. We can always buy another.
May I ask you something?
I don't think anyone here knows the answer. You should ask someone else.
Impressive stature, strong gaze. I think this man deserves a knighthood.
Really, Holmes? How can you be so sure?
On rare occasions, Watson, it can suffice to trust one's gut.
The weather is dreary, isn't it? To be fair, my flowers could use the rainfall.
A ruined newspaper is hardly the end of the world. We can always buy another.
I could hardly imagine anything more macabre.
A ruined newspaper is hardly the end of the world. We can always buy another.
So, Barnes has a dog now. Who's a good boy?
Observation, inked on the hand, high heels, leans heavy on his right leg, and bags under the eyes. He's either a blackmail victim or a workaholic. Character portrait, Mr. Barnes. Mr. Barnes hasn't developed a limp and has large bag under his eyes, the results of long hours of intense work. He is not very confident and tries to appear taller by wearing high heels. It seems unlikely that such a person would be involved in a murder plot, even if the ink on his hand suggests he is the one who sold the newspaper. Nevertheless, Mr. Barnes could still be a bigger pawn in a bigger plan without his knowledge.
Mr. Barnes, a word. Oh, for goodness sake.
Who goes there?
Sherlock Holmes. Now will you please...
Mr. Holmes. Golly, I did not see you come in.
Would you care to answer some questions for me?
Well, I wish I could, but I am deep in the weeds with work. How about we reschedule in a month or two?
Come now, Mr. Barnes. It will only take a moment.
Really deep in the weeds with important things. Well, help yourself to any book. Just take it and pay later. I trust you, Mr. Holmes.
Barnes doesn't seem like himself. Why is he acting this way?
You're asking the right questions, Doctor. Let's find a way to coax him out.
Barnes has always been a little odd, but this is uncharacteristic even for him.
The ladder is broken, recently, judging by the freshness of the wood.
Apologies, but I can't hear you. Please come back later.
So, Barnes has a dog now. Who's a good boy?
We're looking for a cactus needle in a haystack. A spine in a book stack? No, come on, Watson, think.
Basics of cryptoanalysis, cryptography in Egypt. It appears Barnes has an interesting hobby.
Exotic plants catalog. A catalog of exotic plants on Barnes' counter. The name of the catalog reads Everlasting Plants for Everlasting Love.
The finest view London has to offer. In the language of Mycroft's secret agents, it's a sign. Dried flowers are replaced when the job is done. I wonder who the recipient is. An improvised stand, but it does make the flowers more visible.
I like bookshops. One of the few spots in London where you are shunned for making a racket.
Hello there. What's your name?
Lily, I know, not very original.
Encouraging people to stop and smell the roses?
Our national emblem. God save the Queen.
It must take patience and care to produce a bloom so beautiful.
I imagine so. I merely sell them.
A familiar spine? Is this what I found in my dustbin? The pot is damaged. The blow was severe, but softened by something.
Anything tickle your fancy, Mr. Holmes?
Observation, a morning brooch, luxury fabric. The outfit, wearing makeup, clean boots and a distant look in the eye. The options, still grieving or ready to move on. Character portrait Mrs. Fleming. Mrs. Fleming wears a mourning brooch in memory of her late husband. The dress is made from an expensive fabric that is not suitable for work. Her shoes show no traces of mud. She must have changed them when she arrived. Her eyes constantly dart around the street, seemingly in search for something. Perhaps she's waiting for someone. While Mrs. Fleming cherishes the memory of her departed husband, she is trying to move on. She is suggested by her makeup and nice outfit. Perhaps she is dressing to attract someone's attention, or simply because she has learned to love herself again.
Mrs. Fleming, you look particularly lovely today. Is there a reason?
Does a woman need a reason to look or feel beautiful?
No, but your distant look suggests you seek one man's gaze in particular.
Who told you that?
Nobody. Merely a keen eye and some simple deduction.
Well, I'll kindly ask you to keep your keen eye to yourself, Mr. Holmes.
I'll be off. Are you familiar with Mr. Barnes?
Yes. No, not really. Well, in a way.
What on earth does that mean?
I know who he is, of course, but we haven't shared much more than a look.
A look?
Yes. Each morning I go for a walk in the park with my dog, and most days I spot Mr. Barnes there with his new puppy, so we see each other. Actually, we once met briefly while our dogs played. He was quiet and seemed unsteady as he approached, but since then, we've never spoken. I often see him staring through the shop window. Sometimes I wonder what he thinks about that would etch such longing onto his face. I'm afraid I can't help with that, Mr. Holmes. I'm afraid I can't help with that, Mr. Holmes.
One of these things is not like the other.
Come again?
The cactus. Those fearsome spines can prove a dole to remove, and the sap is often toxic.
And a rose thorn can give you tetanus, but we still grow them. The cactus seems comparatively harmless, though you have me thinking it must be valuable.
I was under the impression that you knew its price already.
Your guess is as good as mine. The first time I saw this cactus was when I came back from my break.
What do you make of the flowers in Barnes' shop window?
Well, they could use a bit of water.
Do they mean anything to you?
Mean anything how? I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Holmes.
Why do you think they're there?
Are you suggesting the flowers are for me?
It seems likely, does it not?
Oh, I hope you're right.
Mr. Barnes loves Mrs. Fleming. Barnes displays a bouquet of dead flowers to attract the attention of Mrs. Fleming, a florist. He may hope she will come into his shop and give him watering advice, or it could simply be a symbol of his desperation. Barnes anonymously gifted her a cactus, which he ordered from the catalogue on his counter. A questionable choice, but for Barnes, a symbol of his eternal love, since the catalogue presents these cacti as immortal. Plainly, this is the same cactus he dropped on the strand outside 221B Baker Street. Now to hear the full story. So you had the link together, dead flowers on display, cactus in a cracked pot, and Mrs. Fleming on Barnes.
I think perhaps I have been chasing shadows.
Do not despair, Mr. Holmes. Even the best of us make mistakes. We better tell Mr. Barnes what we've
something
learned.
warmer.
Didn't you once tell me that answers usually lie in plain sight? Didn't you once tell me that answers usually lie in plain sight?
Mr. Barnes, I know what you did, and I know why you did it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes. I can't hear you very well from behind the door.
You ordered a cactus from the plant catalogue and then left it for Mrs. Fleming as a gift. You place flowers in the window to get her attention and wear high heels to appear taller and more desirable. You are her secret admirer. I couldn't read this morning's edition of The Strand because it was covered in soil and spines. I know you dropped a cactus on it and then fled.
Barnes, it's Dr. Watson. Rest assured we are not interested in disclosing your personal affairs to anyone, including Mrs. Fleming. Please come out.
All right, then.
So, you know what happened then? I was on my way back from the post office, having picked up the cactus and some books. It was quite an awkward package, heavy too, and when I got to your door, I dropped the cactus in your paper. Forgive me.
I needed that paper to prove a theory and prevent a crime. Your actions were rather disruptive. Your clumsiness carrying the post is matched only by the clumsiness of your romantic gesture.
Oh, it's true. I am useless with this sort of thing. I'm not even sure if Mrs. Fleming noticed.
As in most things in life, truth is the answer. Cease with the abstruse signals and anonymous gifts, and simply talk to the woman. What is the worst that can happen? She rejects you, and you are freed from this endless purgatory.
That... Yes, you are correct, of course. I do have a slight tendency to overthink things. Thank you.
So, at last, we return to the matter of the paper. I'm investigating a string of burglaries. Did you perhaps read of any before the edition was spoiled?
I don't recall, but you're welcome to read our copy for yourself.
You had an issue of The Strand here all along?
Well, naturally. I am a bookseller. I have a subscription to every magazine and newspaper in London.
So you ought to be familiar with the concept of burying the lead.
Oh no, my apologies, Mr. Holmes. I'll make it up to you however I can. I am an expert on obscure languages and translation and
Yes, okay. Just give me the paper.
The Strand, September 28, 1882. Saltpeter explosion rocks docks. Locals at the port of London had a rude awakening last night, with loud bangs and thick red smoke disturbing the peace. Merchant ship Moskva had docked at Pier N3 in the early evening, en route to Europe, when it was rocked by several concussive explosions. The port authority is yet to comment on the incident, and it is unknown if any crew members were on the board at the time. Eyewitnesses report seeing saltpeter leaking into the river, but with the area still off limits to workers and public, it may be some time before we have a full account of what transpired.
Come, Dr. Watson. Let us put this matter behind us.
Farewell, Mr. Barnes. I hope to hear good news about you and Mrs. Fleming. I'm sure Barnes has had enough of our meddling, Mr. Holmes. We'd best be off.
Okay, so we finished the quest of what happened to the newspaper. I did some light exploring, so I'm trying to make the first playthrough as well as already a bit shorter. But thank you all for watching. Wish you all well. See you in the next video.